Welcome to Paris Undressed on Paris Underground Radio. I'm your host, Kate Kemp-Griffin, and every week we go behind the seams of the lingerie capital of the world to explore femininity and sensuality. My guest today is Caroline Tannous, creative director of Les Jupons de Tess. Born in Lebanon and raised in Paris, Caroline grew up surrounded by artistic inspiration. Her grandfather was a renowned Lebanese painter, and Caroline spent hours in his studio painting with her fingers. Years later, her love of luxury and fashion took her to San Diego, where she completed an MBA in luxury brand marketing. Describing Les Jupons de Tess as seductive, sophisticated, and sensual, Caroline believes that lingerie should be approached with a sense of curiosity and intrigue. Do it with passion is both a mantra and an invitation to take chances and make new discoveries. Welcome, Caroline. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Katie. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's really a delight to be able to continue what we've developed as a friendship through lingerie over all of these years. So thank you for being part of this new creative adventure for Paris Underground Radio and Paris Undressed podcast. What's very interesting to hear about is, let's just start at the beginning. Where did you grow up and what were your interests?
Actually, I grew up between Paris and Beirut because I have some Lebanese origins. So, and since we came to France, I think in 1976. And then from then I was mainly in Paris, even though I went to the US to study 2 years. So, and I'm in love with travels, as you know. So, yeah, I've been traveling a lot, but I grew up mainly between Paris and Beirut.
Okay, so language has always been an easy thing for you to adapt to or pick up?
In Lebanon, French is a second spoken language, so was not a problem for me. But yeah, and I love languages, so I think I speak more French, even though I understand Arabic from my father, but I'm very bad in writing and and reading. I think I'm more French because when you arrive in a country and you're only 6 years old, so it's like it becomes your country. But I feel myself multicultural.
Yes, especially living in different cities and countries as you grow up. You almost pack a suitcase of different experiences that you take with you as you travel around. And what's wonderful about visiting so many countries is you sort of take what you like and leave behind what you don't and adopt your lifestyle and create your own lifestyle.
Exactly.
What did you dream about when you were a young girl?
I think like all young girls, you always dream of princesses and fairy tales,
Happy endings and
Exactly. So, yeah, but when you grew up, maybe according of what you had as an experiences, I grew up in a very creative environment. I don't know if I told you, my grandfather was painter, artist, and because my mom used to work when I was young, so I grew up with my grandparents for 3 years almost, and I grew up, in the middle of, I don't know, thousands of colors, and I was watching him painting, and also I have pictures with him when I put my finger in the colors, and so yeah, I think since very early I was like in a creative environment, and this probably contributed to what I did afterward.
yeah, you were invited to make a mess and get creative and dipping your fingers in paint.
Exactly.
I have to confess, I know that if I sort of might have been quick to say to the children, don't make a mess. There is this tendency to sort of keep things tidy instead of encouraging people to make a mess.
Exactly.
So your grandfather let you come into did he have a studio? Were you just with him as he painted all day long, or?
Yeah, he had like atelier, as we say in French. So yeah, and I remember very well even the smells of the paintings, and so I think every day with him. So was really a big influence in my life for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, when I create even now, I pay a lot of attention to colors combinations. So I think it's a heritage, what I lived when I used to be a little girl.
Mm-hmm. And then that artistic interest became something, instead of a paintbrush, became something about textiles and needles and threads and fashion. So how did the connection develop between art into fashion and that form of expression?
Very early, I think I started to love a lot laces. I mean, this transparency and especially like livers laces, the French livers laces. So, I started even to, as a little girl, my mom bought me like a small sewing machine and I started like to sew some dresses for my dolls or to do some like pajama for me, even not
Yeah.
in lace, but in cotton. But, so I was very manual also. I like to. But then life made that I started to study and I was very interested in biology. So I wanted to be a doctor. And I got like my degree in scientific baccalaureate. And I don't know, I changed my mind again because I wanted to travel. So I decided to study something else. And I found myself studying like luxury or marketing and then life brought me back to my initial passion. Like when I got pregnant of my daughter Tess, I said, "Oh my God, but that's what I want to do."
Well, that's a great place to ask what inspired you to start a lingerie brand. And you've given us a clue, but where did the name come from? Les Jupons de Tess.
Yeah, it's the name of my little daughter. Actually, she's now 14 years old. So I think when you get pregnant, many things happen in your body, in your mind, and I don't know. So it was a big change, and I decided to launch the brand.
While you were pregnant,
Yes, exactly.
giving birth to a brand and to a baby. That's often what happens in terms of energy when we're creating new life. What was your relationship growing up to fashion? And what was your relationship to your own body before becoming a mother? Just as a young girl.
Um, I don't know. I think I was very comfortable with my body.
Mm-hmm.
Only when I was a teenager, of course, there's a moment when body changes. But I think mainly I was okay. Even when I was pregnant, I mean, I just love to be pregnant. So it was a wonderful experience as well. So, yeah, I think I was okay with myself.
That's great because it's not often that you can grow and watch your body change from being a young girl to a young woman with such ease. And it's something that's certainly very important in lingerie. This idea of self-expression through sensuality and sexuality and confidence of one's body. Caroline, tell us about your first bra.
My first bra. Oh, well, it was a nice experience as well. It was a Princess Tam Tam actually bra. And I remember my mom like said, okay, now we need to buy a bra and you will need more support. So yeah, it was a cute one actually. It was like ivory lace, with a little flower in the middle. I remember very well actually the shape and everything. Quite innocent, like for little girls and teenagers. But yeah, it surprised me because it's true when you're a teenager your body is changing, but you're not always aware that you will need to buy a bra, etc., etc. So yeah, was nice.
A nice first experience. Were you with your mother when you bought it, or did she buy it for you and bring it home?
No, I went with my mother. She wanted me to choose, and I think it was, they really Princess Tam Tam is like how do you say pioneer, no, a little bit in lingerie. So
It was a pioneer.
yeah, so the sellers were like very helpful, and well, yeah, it was a very nice experience. I have a good souvenir, really.
Princess Tam Tam is, or at the beginning certainly was, very known for their colors and prints and this idea of having fun with lingerie and giving something youthful that was pretty, but not sort of in silk and fancy yet. It was just this nice sort of playful brand to be introduced to wearing colorful pieces.
More romantic.
Yeah. What 3 words would you use to describe Les Jupons de Tess?
3 words. Okay. I don't know. Seductive, probably. Sophisticated and sensual. But this is my own opinion. It's very subjective, no?
Well, absolutely. But it's also where the creative energy comes from, too, that sort of infuses the collections. You've mentioned your grandfather as being an important person and influence in your life. Is there anybody else that comes to mind when you think of where you are today and the influence that they've played in your life?
Yeah, it's not going to be a very original answer, but I could say my parents for sure. They always showed me the right way, and they have been always very supportive, even though it's not an easy industry, to succeed in. Maybe in the US, my strategic management teacher, he really inspired me a lot. He was really a visionary guy, so yeah, it was like he was a very positive person and always encouraging. The American way of thinking for when you want to do a business is really wonderful. They always have this idea of like the self-made man and of if you want to do something, do it, because if you do it with passion, it's always a success. So, and I think it's very interesting compared to Europe, where we're more maybe old-fashioned in mentality, no more classical way of thinking.
We've certainly shared a lot of that entrepreneurial journey together, and it is hard in France. The answer in North America is, well, try it and see if it works. And the answer in France is, well, are you sure it's going to work? Prove that it's going to work. Sort of the idea that you try something to set yourself up for failure is almost taboo. It's not considered a smart move. Has it been difficult for you?
Yeah, I must confess. Yeah, I went to the US only 2 years to get my MBA. And when I came back to France, it was quite difficult because it was not a recognized diploma. At this time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, was really a challenge, always a challenge, even with the banks to get like finances. I had to ask some family also to loan, me some money to launch the brand. So yeah, I think they have lots of doubts. It's like just prove it first and then we'll follow you.
Yeah, I've often thought that in North America, people want to be first. And in France, people want to see somebody else do it first, and then they'll buy you. You found that too?
Of course, yeah. It's very, very true, actually. Yeah. It's a pity because the first to come on the market, it's always the one you remember. If you're a follower, it's not the same. So, and this is the thing. It's there are good things in on one culture and some other. There is no El Dorado. That's what I learned from my travels. You have to find what you like and take what you love and leave the rest. No, and that's it. That's life.
Paris Undressed will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to Paris Undressed. But you were part of an early group of designers and independent brands that really, before the digital world is what it is today, you were sort of that hybrid of still selling to retailers, and you were also starting the whole website experience and selling directly to customers. How has that changed over the years in having direct contact with the customer? Has that been something that's easy for you or has been a challenge?
It's always a challenge, but I think it's very nice to be in contact with direct customers, like to do like more B2C, because you have the direct commands, and this always help you like grow. When you're selling to boutiques, it's more like the owner point of view, which is also valuable, of course, huh? But then when you have really the direct customer experience, I think it's more valuable for a brand because you know exactly what they want and you can adjust and propose solutions and you know.
And the website has become over the years more of a shopping experience for the customer too. It's no longer just pictures. You are very much part of your own photography and creating a universe in which your customers, it's another invitation to discover the brand.
Yeah, it has always been, I think. No, you have to have your own DNA, I must say, like your own environment, your own, I don't know, brand culture. And then that's what the customers are looking for. But it's true that lately the website sales are picking up because of course this situation. I mean, the COVID-19. So, and the shops are closing. People are buying online because there is no other solution to get your product.
For me, one of the things I've always loved so much about what you do is your photography and the time that you take to create that universe. It's not just staged shot of lingerie in a studio. There's lots of outdoor shots. There's women in motion. There's movement. You invite a reverie.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what we're intending to do, at least, like to create emotion. That's true. Because I think it's very emotional, no, to buy some lingerie. It's I don't know, it's very intimate. It's a seductive part of the woman.
There's a story that's being told. And I think that's seems as if it's becoming a much more important element in creating a brand as well. It's not just the product itself, the bra and the panty and the camisole. It's actually what's the story. And it seems that's part of the creative process now. So tell us, how do you design a lingerie collection? What starts for you first? Where does it start and what happens?
Well, it's very variable. It could be like a texture, a color, a fabric, I don't know, a ribbon movement. This is something I cannot, like, how do you say, je ne maîtrise pas, it's
Je maîtrise pas just means that you don't actually have any conscious control over it.
exactly. And sometimes it's hard because I'm like, okay, I have to do a new collection, but I have no inspirations. I just don't force myself, and it happens, and that's it. I don't know. It's a very mysterious process, probably in my mind.
Yeah.
But what I'm sure about is like all the creative ideas that we have are all like spontaneous. The first idea for me is always the best one. And I think the big companies, maybe they have a very long and arduous creative process. When you design a bra, all the team must approve, and it goes, I don't through lots of steps and processes, and so no, you have to change I don't know, the bow, the lace, the cut, etc., etc. For us, it's more like the first idea is the best one. Of course, we improve it, but it's not like so hardest, or the first idea is a good one because it's very spontaneous one.
How many collections do you design a year?
We do 2 collections a year, like autumn, winter, and spring, summer, which is very classical way of designing and launching, collections. But in each collection, we intend to put like, because we have 2 brands, right? Les Jupons de Tess and Tess, which is like a little bit youngest and more, let's say, sportive and sometimes more romantic, more for young girls, even though the mothers buy as well. We try to have a structure in the collection. There's always one like very sexy line, another one more sophisticated, more ready to wear one, and there's a structure in both collections. So like every woman can find what she likes, at the end.
So Les Jupons de Tess was the first brand, and then several years later, is it called Tess now?
Yeah, we changed the Tess. We changed also the logo. And it's true. Initially, the first brand was Les Jupons de Tess. And Tess came long after for young girls or women that couldn't afford the main brand.
And now that Tess, your daughter, is 14 years old, what does she think about having all of these brands named after her?
I think, I don't know. She's always watching me. She's also very creative. She's an artist.
Oh.
But I'm not sure she's very interested into lingerie. She's more like, she's interested in more, the manga, and she's drawing a lot, this kind of personage and she's more into the Japanese influence, like probably most of the teenagers.
And illustrating. She's comfortable with paper and pencil, or maybe she's picking up more on your grandfather's love of drawing and paintbrushes.
Yes, for sure.
If you weren't a lingerie designer, what might you be doing instead?
Probably a doctor. I love science.
So you would have pursued the biology.
Maybe a pediatrics because I love kids as well. So yeah, for sure a doctor.
What has making lingerie taught you about femininity and sensuality?
I think, I buy lingerie first for myself. So I think sometimes when you're wearing not sometimes, always when you're wearing a nice lingerie, even though you're wearing sports clothes, you feel more confident. It's like you feel beautiful, and I don't know, it's like it's something you must do it for you first, no? It's not a taboo, but I think people buy more lingerie, for special occasions like marriage, but there is no real occasion. You can wear it even every day if you like to, no? To feel more like woman, sensual, or
Well, speaking as a Canadian, I certainly grew up with the idea of special occasion, that this was something, that lingerie was something you only brought out when life presented you big dates, marriage and date night, or a pretty dress or a special occasion. And this idea that it was for every day took me a while to understand. Do you think that might be a cultural difference? Have you noticed in France, in Paris, just whether it's something you more naturally do than when you were studying in the States?
maybe yeah, I would say maybe the States are more wearing like basics. They like basics, even the tones of lingerie. I remember from my studies in the US are more like black, ivory. Maybe cultural, yeah, maybe there's a cultural aspect.
What is one common myth about lingerie that you've encountered over the years, either through customers or in the making of?
I think lingerie has changed a lot, no? And it's now more following like fashion, no? In terms of colors, in terms of shapes. And maybe the the miscommon is like that seductive bras are only like push-ups when it's not true. I mean, triangle bra or sports bra can be sexy as well. It's just the way you're gonna wear it, the way you feel comfortable with yourself. So it's very personal, no? The way you perceive lingerie. So maybe it's a misperception to think that only push-up can be seductive.
That by putting something on, you become something else, as opposed to having lingerie actually be an extension of the expression of
Yeah,
yourself.
that's correct.
What advice would you give women who might feel a little overwhelmed about shopping for lingerie, just not quite comfortable going shopping?
What do you mean, like for women who don't feel comfortable with their body, or
Well, sometimes shopping for lingerie can be a very daunting experience. You don't really know what size you are. You don't know where to go once you're in the store. I think a lot of people tend to not give enough time for lingerie shopping. It's sort of something that we do. It's a bra and a panty, something that we put on every day.
like a necessity?
Yeah, it's often done in a hurry. I don't know. I'll ask you, is it when you get dressed in the morning, is it done quickly or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, a day-to-day life with my kids, of course.
Yeah, we all get up in the morning and it's we got to get to work. We've got to, depending on the age of our kids, drop them off at school, and get busy. It's a bit of a rush in the morning. It's easily frustrated. There's a frustration that might come when shopping for lingerie and just buying what you're used to have.
Like to repeat what you have. But I think the most important thing, Katie, is like to buy the right size. And I think most of the women don't even know their right size. So maybe the fitting, and if you don't feel comfortable wearing a bra and it bothers you during the day, of course you're going to go and buy the same old bra that you used to buy, same color, same shape, just to feel comfortable. But I think it's a mistake. Yeah, I mean, if you have your right size, you can buy any seductive bra and feel comfortable the whole day.
Paris Undressed will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to Paris Undressed. Bras and breasts just come with a lot of self-judgment, so it's never about just getting a new bra. It's risky because it's just inviting self-judgment again. And if you're not comfortable with what you bought, or you don't know where and what to get, it's just sort of not fun. If you don't know what you're doing, it's not fun. And so I guess the question is how to get that invitation to come and try, and feel the fun that's in lingerie.
As I said, I think first of all, they have to know their own size, and all women are beautiful. I don't see why, none of the shapes, there are like hundreds of different shapes, bra and panties, and probably they have to follow their own feeling and how they feel when they try the product on. So of course, not all the triangle bra don't fit all women. If you have a big breast, or maybe it's better to go for underwire. But I believe like now you have lots of brands, and every woman should find like which one corresponds the most, depending on her own personality and how she feels.
I remember it's a little bit like going to the hairdresser. I for a long time, I just asked for the same cut, just because that's just what I did. Please, shoulder length and make it even. And after a while, you just sort of get caught just doing the same thing.
The habit. Yeah, you're very right when you're saying like human beings tend to stay in his or her own habits, and they have to dare trying things, new things, maybe go out from the comfort zone. That's where you find beautiful things, instead of staying in your own habits. And I don't know why, it's true. Even I was one day I had that conclusion. When I go somewhere, I always park in the same place. And I thought, but why do I do that? I will park in another place next time, just to change a little bit my car parking. And I think it's the same with the process of buying lingerie or whatever,
That makes me laugh because I remember coming out of the apartment building when I was living in Paris. I always turned right. Just came out of the door, turned right. That was just the way I walked to the metro. And then one day I realized, no, I'm just going to turn left. And it changed. It wasn't the same walk to the metro at all. It wasn't, I didn't see the same things. It didn't feel the same way. And it woke me up a bit more. You see things differently. I love the parking experience. I tend to be a same kind of parking spot person. Yeah. And I don't know why.
No, but we're all the same, no? And yeah, you just have to have this little light, no? Telling you, okay, now I will change my way of eating. I will change my way of, I don't know, practicing sports. I will discover a new dance tomorrow, a new culture, new smell, new perfume, new lingerie. Why not? No?
A different plate, a different cup, a different mug. It can, just the small things can change your aesthetic.
Exactly. Even your whole day-to-day life. Yeah. Small details, no?
Yeah, it is the small details. You live in Paris and you've been designing in Paris. What do you love most about this city that you have chosen?
Well, I just love Paris because it's Paris. Paris by night, the architecture, the vibes, the food, everything. And this becomes more valuable when you go out from your own city and you stay abroad for a few months, sometimes a few years, and then you realize how much you are connected with your own city. And even though I love to travel, I love Paris. Just the food, the desserts, the wine, the everything. Even les Français qui râlent. I don't know how to say it. French complaining all the time.
Yeah, the strikes and the weather and the this and the that is still very much part of the texture.
Yeah.
You mentioned desserts, so let me see if you. Let me ask: are you more salé or sucré?
I think I'm more salé, but I love the little touch of sugar sometimes at the end of the meals. Changing tastes and.
Okay, so what's a favorite salé for you?
The favorite salé. I'm gonna deceive you actually because I just love Thai food. I
Mm.
love
Hmm.
French food, but I also love Thai food. So my favorite Thai food would be like the chicken basil and spicy. And I love basilic. I don't know how you say
Basil,
basil. So yeah,
do you have a favorite Thai restaurant in Paris that our listeners could be perhaps interested in discovering?
yeah, I love L'Escale Bangkok. I think it's really typical and it's real Thai food. It's not like fusion, adapted to European culture. It's real Thai food, the way you would eat in Thailand. So
Okay, it's called L'Escale de Bangkok. Is that it?
yeah,
And what arrondissement is that in?
in the 16, I think it's Rue de Longchamp.
Well, we'll find the address and make sure that that's available in the notes so that our listeners can discover perhaps a new place that they haven't been to as well. And if it's not a salé moment and it's a sucré moment, perhaps just walking past a boulangerie, what might catch your eye?
With no hesitation, La Durée, the macaron. And I think it's not very original, but I love the rose flavor. So a little rose macaron.
Well, the macarons are the perfect size just to satisfy that sweetness that you're talking about. At the just a little touch of something.
Exactly. I agree. With a small coffee, really. So that's just perfect.
Caroline, what words would you use to describe lingerie?
Can I use a combination of words? Like,
Absolutely. Hmm.
okay, I would say first a positive experience, then sensuality, and maybe I'm not sure in English, but like this discovering something new.
Hmm. Discovery or the curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity, maybe better.
Yeah. So it really is an invitation to explore the senses.
Of course.
Well, Caroline, thank you very much for joining us today. What can we look forward to in this season coming up for Les Jupons de Tess?
We have lots of surprises, but
Hmm.
I will not disclose anything today. You have
Oh, so we have to keep watching to see what secrets unfold.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you again very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you're inspired to make some changes and explore your own passion. If you don't know where to start, why not take your cue from Caroline and dip your fingers into a pot of paint with reckless abandon just to see what happens? While it's unlikely that you'll start a lingerie brand as a result, it is likely that you'll discover something different about yourself. You can find the links below to follow Caroline and learn more about the brands Les Jupons de Tess and Tess Paris. And if you have a craving for Thai food, you can find the information below for Caroline's favorite restaurant, Escale Bangkok. Thank you, and merci for listening to Paris Undressed. Paris Undressed is produced by Paris Underground Radio. For more on this show and shows like it, please go to parisundergroundradio.com.